Hey everyone, Gary Sibs here, and we're back with video number 3 for the Cheltenham 2021 Festival, sort of anti-post discussions and betting. Thanks for stopping by, thanks for watching. Been a good week in terms of betting for myself. Well, towards the back end of the week, early on last week was pretty terrible, but good back end of the week. Everyone knows how much of a fan I am of Min, and although we didn't really get to see much, if any, of the race, he was a big tip of mine for the weekend. He was my nap of the weekend. I had a really good bet on him myself, and doubled him up with Chacan for what that was worth at Chacan's price. But yeah, I was really pleased, although not to see the race, to see Min come out and get that result. And it was a shame that obviously the rest of the card then got cancelled, and that's just the way it is. I'm afraid we're probably lucky to even get the race finished and Min get the win, because you know the weather was terrible down there. So yeah, it's been an interesting week. It was. We might as well address the elephant in the room first that everybody's addressing in terms of Altior. Sort of mixed opinions coming off from everyone. My opinion on this is that I think Nicky Henderson's getting a lot of grief that he doesn't deserve. I don't blame I don't blame Lydia for asking the questions. I don't blame Nicky for his answers. You could tell he was getting a bit frustrated. He'd probably had a long day. You know, he'd stayed back at the end of racing to do this interview. He'd probably been asked it by loads of people. He was willing to stay back and answer the questions. He looked a little bit irate and a little bit ratty about it all, if I'm honest. Probably said one or two things that weren't good in terms of racing when he was on about the welfare and whatever. But in terms of the actual event and the actual pulling out of Altior, I have no issue with it. People can say what they want, as far as I'm concerned, about, you know, Altior's won on this ground before, arguing with Nicky about what the ground was like. The top and bottom of it is he has an aging horse, right, who isn't the horse that he was 2 years ago, okay? He's got the horse's interests at his heart, and I fully believe that that is the case. I believe, in my opinion, I think the racing went on Saturday and on Friday, and you know the jockeys were probably going back to him saying, you know, it's a bit sticky out there. It looked terrible on Friday. You watch it back, it looked terrible. So I have no problem with what he did. I think he's looking after an aging horse. A horse, it's like anybody in it. It's like footballers, for instance. When footballers get to the later years, you have to look after them better. They can't play the 3 days a week that they used to. It takes them longer to get over things. Same with horses. They get older, you've got to look after them better. They can't go and flog themselves like they used to. And I fully believe that the only reason he pulled that horse out, I don't think there's an underlying issue in terms of injury. I just think he didn't want him to have the race that he should. People might say, well, he shouldn't have entered him in a grade 1. Maybe he shouldn't. I'm not arguing that. All I'm saying is that at that weekend, he didn't fancy running Altior in that race. Now, you know, you see the Paul Nichol's interview. You know, he's gutted because he never got to run against him, and that's fair enough. That doesn't interest me, to be honest, because even with an aging Altior, the likes of Politilog and that aren't a patch on him. So that's my opinion on it. I have no problems with what Nicky Henderson did, and I still believe that although they've got to look after him differently, look after him better, I still believe he's in the top 2 mile chasers in England and Ireland, alongside Chacan. And if those two turn up at the champion chase, I fully believe it'll be a 2-horse race, and I don't think anything else will get anywhere near him. And that includes Politilog, Grenadine. I mean, God knows what's happened with Defi Dessau. Maybe they can get him back. If he's back to his full potential, he might be in 3rd place. But I just think those two are a country mile above the rest. I'm not actually putting any tips up for that race today, but just in brief, I do think Altior is a very good price at the minute. I know Gavin Lynch has tipped him up today on upping the ante, and I think that's not a bad bet at all. I just think you look at the horses he's near on price, and he's a country mile better than all of them. And I couldn't, although I think Chacan will win the race if he gets there, I couldn't be backing him simply because of his record of not getting there. And I think Altior will be the bet if I was betting right now. But yeah, in terms of that one, I have no problem with it. No problem with what Nicky Henderson did. That's my opinion on it. Everybody has their own opinion. I get that. I have no problem with that either. But yeah, that's the one on Altior. Moving on to the other horses that I've just mentioned that did win. I don't really get people crabbing Chacan Pessoir's form at the weekend. Reading and seeing a lot of people talking about his jumping. I didn't think there was anything wrong with his jumping. I thought it was his first run out this season, bound to come on for the run. You could tell from the way Paul Townend rode him that he was maybe a little bit concerned about what he would have in the tank first time out. Obviously the two horses came down at the last, but they were beaten anyway, and I think it was a very comfortable first run out. I have no problem with Chacan Pessoir's run. I think it was like a steady performance that'll bring him on, and I think you're only going to see him get better and better. And if he does get there and turn up to the champion chase, I do think he's probably the likely winner in front of Altior. I think it'll be a very close race, but I think he's the likely winner. I think the age thing will be on his side, and I think he's probably the best horse in training at 2 miles at the minute. Min is, as you all know, a horse I'm very fond of. Tipped him up last year for the Ryanair, and I think he's the most likely winner of the race this year. I don't think the likes of Imperial Aura are a patch on him. He's another horse that obviously has another year older, another year under his belt. I think he'll be 10 next year come the race. But I think he's still an absolute superstar. This horse went under the radar for so long, coming up against Altior, and William Mullins trying to run him against Altior to beat Altior, and he just wasn't a 2 miler. You know, he's much better over 2 mile 4, and I think he's the most likely winner of the Ryanair. Again, not one I'm going to tip up. I'm not somebody who comes up and likes to tip up favourites, but at the minute, unless something else comes out and jumps out at me, I think he's the most likely winner. And it was great, although we didn't get to see the race, which is a little bit disappointing. It was good just to see him come out and get a win under his belt. So yeah, that's where we are with the weekend's racing. There wasn't much else caught my eye. I know there's people talking about All Mankind. For me, it's just a horse that I just don't think will win when the big stage comes. You know, I think he'll fail at Cheltenham. I think he'll just fall short. You know, he'll probably win some races along the way, win some probably decent races, but I thought his performance was decent at the weekend, but I just feel like he'll fall up short come the big ones. Other ones, the big breakaway, like I said to you after he ran the first time round, he's not a horse I'm impressed with at all. I think his jumping leaves a lot to be desired. He's big, he's way over the top, he's like his head's all side to side coming to the fences. I think he's got a lot to learn before he's going to be anywhere near RSA, and I think he's about 12 to 1 at the minute. You know, I wouldn't touch him at 20 to 1. So I can't be having that one at the minute, and it didn't surprise me when he got beat. I actually, my tip in the race was to lay him, so that's where we stood with that one. I was a little bit more disappointed with the big getaway. He was one I expected to win, expected him to show a lot of promise. I fancied him for the festival after to come in and be backable for the festival after that. That didn't come, but I'm not giving up on him. Obviously, the race was over an adequate trip for him, and I do feel that he will come on for the run. I think he'll get back to probably racing over the 3 mile, and I do think he's still pretty dangerous for the RSA. And I think he's about 25 to 1, I think, at the minute, and I think that's a reasonable price. I do think, come the festival, you'll probably see improvements from him, and he'll probably be a lot shorter come the day. So I wouldn't put anybody off backing him in that at the minute. And that's really all I had to take from the weekend. So moving on from that, I'm going to just give you a couple of little fancies for me for this weekend, and we'll start with a 10-1 double coming up at the weekend for Goshen and Easysland. I think Easysland, although lost the last time, I think it was a good run out for him, and I think he'll be back. The rain's forecast, which will suit, and I think he will come out trumps back in the cross country this weekend. And you are going to see the return of Goshen. I've said it to all my friends, said it to everybody that I know. He's a horse that I was absolutely blown away by in the Triumph last year. Absolute freak incident at the last. Wasn't even a fall. His back foot got caught in his front shoe. Probably a 1 in a million chance. And he floored some good horses there. I actually fancy him miles better than anything in the Champion Hurdle, and that includes Epatante. I said to you after Epatante's last run that I wasn't massively impressed with it. I thought people were going over the top, and I fancy Goshen to come out, set a bit of a statement this weekend. He's had a couple of runs over the flat that never went to plan as such. Maybe had a little bit of an issue there, I don't know. Maybe that's why he hasn't ran to date, but I fully believe he'll come out this weekend, stamp his authority, and I think the 10-1 you can get him for the Champion Hurdle will be gone by the time this weekend has come and passed. The first race, the first tip I'm going to put up for the festival today is him. I am taking a 4-point win on Goshen for the Champion Hurdle. I was just waiting for him to be confirmed that he's going to run somewhere. I do feel that they think he's now fit and ready to go, and I think we're going to see a brilliant performance from him at the weekend. He turns up anything like he did at the Triumph. He was a 4-year-old. He's going to come on for it. I just think he's going to be. He could be like a really, really good Champion Hurdle winner for the next few years. And I think he has potential to be a country mile better than Epatante. Might be sat here on Monday laughing at what I've said, but I'm going to tip him up. And like I said, a 4-point win at 10-1 for the Champion Hurdle. There's a lot of horses. I wouldn't be taking Epatante even if Goshen wasn't in it. That's my thoughts on it. It's my opinion. I know a lot of people fancy her, a lot of people like her. There's just something about her. I don't like this might sound a bit daft, I don't like the way she jumps. Hurdlers, and people have this thing about hurdlers jumping through the hurdles. They like them to clip the top of the hurdle and get through them. I'm not so much like that. I predicted the year that Bouvier fell in the Champion Hurdle because I thought he was too much like that. He jumped through his hurdles too much, he got too low. And to be honest, in time, I can see it catching Epatante out eventually. So I'm not mad keen on the way she jumps, although she's low and she gets away from him because of how she jumps. I like a horse that literally gets over him and still can continue running. The best piece of form we have seen this year from a Champion Hurdle contender is by Aspire Tower. And if I wasn't backing Goshen, that's who I'd be backing for the Champion Hurdle, because his win over Abracadabras was brilliant. He was off the bridle before any of them. He stayed well. He powered away from them. They were never going to beat him. And that is the best piece of form we have seen from a 2-mile hurdler. He was a contender for the Champion Hurdle this year, and that would be my second pick. However, if Goshen's there, Goshen's fully fit, he's back to how he was last season, I think he's a step above everything. So it's my opinion. You put these things out on YouTube, you're there to be shot at if they go wrong. But that's he's a tip for this weekend. I'm putting him in a single and a double with Easysland, and I'm also tipping him up for the champion hurdle. A couple of others I fancy this weekend. I fancy in the City Post Handicap Hurdle, I fancy a 20 to 1 shot called Boyhood. He was off for 11 months, just short of a year. Returned with a fourth over hurdles at Newton Abbot in a 3 mile 2 in November. He last won over fences off a mark of 142 and was second over hurdles at Cheltenham at this course over 140 off a mark of 143. He's currently off a mark of 136, and I think that last run will have just been a nice season opener after such a lengthy time off for him, and I can see him running a big race in that race this weekend. So he'd be a tip for me this weekend. Another one that I like is in the Close Brothers Mares Hurdle, a horse called Aggie With It for Dan Skelton. Very progressive 6-year-old. He won with ease the last twice and jumped really nicely, cruised away, didn't have to be touched in the lead-in the last day. He's rated 127, so he's quite, he's down off 10 stone 2 there, which is really good. And I think he could run a big race. I think he's currently about 7 to 1. I fancy him to run a big race in that one. And, they're the sort of the 4 horses that I fancy this weekend coming up for anybody who wants to have a look at them. A couple of other mentions. A little bit of a thing I'm going to do. I know there's people out there, I spoke to 1 or 2 people out there who they look for as much info and footage, etc., to do with the Cheltenham anti-post stuff as they can. And I just want to give a shout out. You've probably all heard of them, but there's 4 or 5 different YouTube channels anti-post videos out there that I like to watch, and I just like to give the lads a bit of praise for what they do. And this is in no particular order, but the more professional side of things, if you don't watch it, if you have a look for Off the Fence, that is hosted by Vanessa Ryle and has Barry Geraghty and Tony Keenan on there. That's one of my favourites. It's up there with Up in the Ante, which I'm sure a lot of you watch. I really like Barry's insight on things, and I think Tony Keenan is a top class bloke. So I like to watch that one. We've obviously got the Road to Cheltenham with Ruby and Lydia on there. I'm sure a lot of you have seen that one. A little bit more on the more novelty side, like the lads just getting into it. I like the new race, Racing Central. We've obviously got Josh Andrew and Sam on that one. New one for this year. Good work, lads. Keep it up. Good insight from them lads. Follow them on Twitter before they started this. The lads I have a lot of time for and a lot of respect. The people you want involved in racing. They do the sport a lot of good. Mark McKay, another guy I've followed for a couple of years now. Go and check out his channel. Some good insights. He's actually the last couple of weeks he's even predicted for you what the Up in the Ante guys are going to put up as their bets. So that's the guy obviously knows what he's talking about, and I've got a lot of time for Mark. I have a bit of a chat with him in his comments and stuff. So well done to Mark. Keep up the good work. And the other one is the finishing line. So have a look at those videos. We've got Andrew, Dave and Tom on the finishing line. Always a good insight. They have a good bit of banter amongst themselves, as do the other guys. And if you've got the time to watch them, I'm not here to tell you just to watch my stuff, because they pull out a lot of stuff that I don't. It's very, very time consuming doing stuff like this, and those guys that put a lot of time and effort into it, they deserve you to tap that like button and tap that subscription button and follow the stuff that they do. So yeah, I'd just like to tell you to go and watch their stuff as well. On to the next. Obviously, I've given you one tip for the festival in the Champion Hurdle, and the other one, I've got 2 for you today. I've got a second one that is in the Stayers Hurdle. It's a race I've been giving a good bit of looking at for a week or so. Rightfully so. The top 3 in the betting, Time Hill, Paisley Park, those two in particular, anyway, I'm in the top three, but those two in particular are rightfully at the top of the betting. I think they're the right price. They are, you've seen the race they've just come out of. Time Hill obviously won. Paisley Park was not far behind with a bit of a weight discrepancy, and the thing is, at 92 and 5 to 1, I can't be backing them. Okay, that's not my, to put an anti-post bet up without getting involved in doubles, trebles, and stuff like that, which I'm trying my best to avoid this year, because they're the ones that let me down last year. I just can't be tipping them up. So I started to go through the form book, and I came down to two. I think that you've always got a couple of horses in there that aren't going to run here. Benny Dido and Honeysuckle, probably a few more as well. I don't get Fury Road being 12 to 1 when Time Hill is 9 to 2. Fury Road obviously beat Time Hill last year in the Albert Bartlett, which has held up very well. He's come out and won his reappearance, and I really like Fury Road. It was actually my second pick. I was going to tip him up until I came across my actual selection. I think he's about I think he's about the right price to bet. In terms of 12 to 1, I think he should be shorter. If Time Hill is a 9 to 2 shot, I don't know. He's not 7 or 8 to 1. So yeah, he would be he would be my sort of second selection. You go down. I'm not going to go through all the runners. Ronald Pump, I think, ran a good race the last day behind. Honeysuckle, another one that I kind of like. But I had to go a bit further down the betting, and I came across a horse I want to tip up. He's 25 to 1, but I'm going to put him up for a win. We'll go for a 2-point win. And this horse is a horse for David Pipe called Main Fact. He's won his last 9 races on the bounce, those being both on the flat and over hurdles. You can't knock what he did the last day. An absolutely fantastic win in this day's handicap at Haydock, winning off a mark of 147. The turn for home, and he was out the back. He was more or less last. Absolute great running in very, very, very testing conditions. Coming over the last, he was still 5th, and he won comfortably. It wasn't even like, I think he won by a length and a half in the end. Powered away, staying on really nicely, and that was at 3 miles. It was his first run at that distance. Everything else before that has been a shorter distance. And he really, really impressed me when I went and watched him back. That was the main race that impressed me. Other races that he's won, like I say, he's won 9 on the bounce. He's due to run in the Marsh Hurdle at Ascot on the 19th of December, where he could be taking on a couple of these big guns if they turn up. And I think if he runs a cracking race there, that 25 to 1 shot could vastly be reduced into a God knows what. I mean, if he was to go and win, it could put him right up there. So I really fancy him. I think he's a big contender, one that, again, is going to get better as the season goes on. That's what we're looking for at this point. It's what I'm looking for, is the horses that I think are at a good price to back right now. And my second bet is for Main Fact in the Stayers Hurdle, 2-point win. Okay, another point that I just want to add in here before I finish. I know today's video has been a bit longer because I've gone over last weekend and this weekend coming, which I don't always do. So I do apologise, it's gone on a little bit longer. But a guy I just want to give a bit of a shout out to and a bit of a good luck message is Adam Nicol. Adam, for those of you that don't know him, rode the aforementioned Lady Buttons to many of her wins. He rode her from day one. He was very, very unlucky to get injured and miss the 2 races that she ran at Cheltenham, which was very, very disappointing for Adam. Very hard for him to overcome. But at the end of the day, he rode her in some of her biggest wins, and the guy's recently retired from being a jockey due to injuries and stuff, and starts his training career tomorrow, I think it is. He's got his first runner out, so I just want to say a big good luck to Adam. I think he'll make a fantastic trainer. He's very professional, takes his job very seriously. You know, if I can afford some horses one day, I would like to think I could get one in training with him. Go and follow him on Twitter, guys, at Adam Nicol Racing. And yeah, just want to say good luck to him. That's all from me today. There's a few things coming, taking my fancy for Cheltenham at the minute, so I'm just looking into one or two more. I might get another one this week. If not, I'll be back on one next week. Good luck with all your betting at the weekend and for the remainder of the week. And yeah, we'll see you soon. If you're on the bets, hope they're coming for you. And good luck. Cheers.